Hello and welcome back everyone to this live demo session on SAP Build Process Automation Training with me Anubhav on anubhavtrainings.com. In this series of training videos, we are going to learn about SAP Build Process Automation capabilities end-to-end on SAP BTP for professional developers and citizen developers. In our demo session today, we are going to talk about the concept of who is this training for, so you can map this corresponding training with your current developer persona. We will understand the capability of SAP Build, which comes along with SAP BTP. We will understand then a simple use case with live demonstration in the system to understand how can you design and develop your first business process. Finally, I will take you through some of the frequently asked questions by you with regard to this training module. My name is Anubhav. I have total 20 years of experience in the field of SAP and I'm been working on SAP BTP technology since last 6 to 7 years. I have seen different phases of SAP BTP when it was earlier called as HANA Cloud Platform. Then it was renamed to SAP Cloud Platform. And in 2019 December, it was renamed to BTP Business Technology Platform. I do conduct multiple trainings on SAP BTP, which includes SAP BTP Administration, SAP BTP Cloud Application Programming Development for professionals for end-to-end development of cloud native application using microservices, and SAP BTP ABAP development with RESTful application programming model. Along with that, SAP BTP MDK mobile development kit to build hybrid Fury applications. Also, the UI5 and Fury development using Business Application Studio tools. So these are my key capabilities when it comes to building and delivering solutions and architectural guidance to the companies and consultants on SAP BTP. Our today's agenda focuses on SAP Build Process Automation. As most of you have followed my YouTube channel and you have multiple time requested for me to start this module, here we are today to begin our SAP Build Process Automation training module. Please note that this module is only available in video mode. There are no live classes. However, during this session, I will guide you with the process of asking your doubt over the email to me in case you get issues. Having said that, let's understand the developer persona for this training. Meet Abramo, who is a SAP solution architect. His company is constantly asking him to understand the portfolio of SAP BTP and specifically how can the company build the business processes and automate them with the help of BTP. So in that case, he would want to find the best product fit for his organizational need, and that's why he is here today to learn SAP Build Process Automation. Then we have Ladia, who is an SAP process expert, currently involving herself to build and design business processes in the organization. She wants to understand the key capability of SAP Build Process Automation so that she can transform the manual processes and find the gaps where there is lot of manual effort and transform those manual processes to a fully automated processes in BTP. Then we have an SAP developer like most of us who are an ABAP developer or a CRM or HCM or SRM or ECC or an ABAP on HANA developer or a Fury developer who's Zakir. He would like to directly get started with SAP Build capabilities, want to understand the build portfolio and configure the SAP BTP environment suitably ready to build process automations and design couple of business processes and also utilize the robotic process automation capabilities to build end-to-end business processes in the cloud, which orchestrates processes spread across multiple systems like S4HANA, SuccessFactor, Fieldglass, Concur, Ariba, ECC, BW, and other third-party cloud systems. Finally, we have Kelly. She is a workflow consultant working currently to design classic ABAP workflows in ECC system. She is finding it hard to find more career promises. So that's why she is interested to venture herself into the learning of BTP and specifically the build process automation, which is the cloud based automation tool where she would help companies to transform the classic workflows into the cloud in the BTP. So if you can map to one of these developer personas, then you are at the right place and you will be the right candidate to be chosen for this training. Having said that, let's understand the overall broad expectation for this training. We have divided this entire module into 5 different phases over next 30 hours of training. The first phase we will start with introduction to SAP BTP. We will understand what is BTP, how to get ourselves enrolled to the BTP account, different BTP subscription models like BTP Enterprise Agreement Plan or Cloud Platform Enterprise Agreement Plan or Pay as you go plan. We will then set up our free BTP account and understand the account structures like sub account, global account, and more. We will then configure subscriptions related to SAP Build. I will also guide you if in case your company would want to truly use SAP Build for productive purpose, how much it is going to cost you. In the phase 2, we will start with SAP Build itself. SAP Build is a suite of solutions, not just one product. It's available on top of BTP. So we will understand what are the different components does the SAP Build has. We will then look at specifically the SAP Build process automation component and also SAP Build work zone component in this training. In the phase 3, we will start the actual process authoring where you will learn how to understand and map your scenarios, understand real-time case studies and scenarios which we have designed specifically for you to end-to-end map it to the functional requirements and then transforming those functional requirements into tangible business processes and deploy them in the cloud. It includes all the major capabilities like forms, approval forms, normal forms, decisions, rules, creating capabilities of multiple branches using parallel processing, sub processes, looping capabilities, and very complex scenarios as well. You will understand how to discover the APIs and also be able to communicate through an external system. Even to an extent that once you deploy your process into the cloud, you can also build Fury applications to run your processes end to end. We will discuss how to customize your processes to the last extent, like with the task UI. You can design customized Fury user interfaces and plug them with your business processes. You will also learn the core APIs which are available for SAP Build Process Automation so you can trigger it from anywhere, wherever you want. You will configure the standard packaged applications like My Inbox, Process Visibility, and many more applications, including troubleshooting and monitoring of business processes in the cloud. In the fourth phase, we will spend time on process intelligence, along with robotic bots, which you can configure, which can bring down the manual effort for your company. You will learn automations on Excel, PDF, invoice extractions, automations on SAP GUI and Fury screens, along with like Outlook automation as well. This will help you to automate almost everything in and around your SAP solutions to bring down the manual effort and tedious tasks of users. Bringing the intelligent robotic process automation reduces the manual effort, manpower effort, and increase the efficiency in your automation. By getting rid of the boring tasks, you can use the agent, the robotic process desktop agent to take over this work. You will learn about all the types of modes like the attended mode, unattended mode, and design mode. Then at the very end, we will begin with standard processes. What if I say that whatever you need in your company is already there? So almost 80% of the work is done by SAP with pre-packaged standard business process content, which you can download free from SAP Business Accelerator Hub, and then utilize that to tweak your process and finally redeploy into the cloud to make your processes run smoothly. This will also include some very complex scenarios, including integration suite to call standard BAPIs and also configuring actions to connect to your S4 HANA APIs from API Hub. All in all, at the end, we will give you guidance on the future roadmap for build process automation and, of course, all the learning material, including some hands-on tutorials. This entire training is based out of case studies and real-time scenarios. So you will be empowered to learn the core capabilities along with real-time experience. Having said that, let's understand now the brief overview of where did the build process automation has come from. The foundation started way back before 2000 when in ECC we used to use classic workflows, the so-called transaction code SWDD, where you create classic workflow to orchestrate your business processes. It was mainly limited to SAP GUI based automations, like simple scenarios. Then came in 2006 the BRF Plus, which brought in the rule management capability in the ERP. It was a WebDynPro based application. SAP integrated the BRF capability with also classic workflow by calling and executing your rules to drive the decisions into the workflows. Then in 2019, SAP announced the SAP BTP cloud workflow. Some of you have already attended that particular training of mine where we learned how to design BTP workflows in Business Application Studio tool. That is still possible. You still can use that capability in the cloud. If you want to learn that old capability, you can join my cloud workflow training as well. It's available in video mode. Then together with that in 2020, they come up with IRPA capabilities, intelligent robotic process automation, which takes away all the manual work away from the user and let the robots do this work, helping you to automate most of the manual tasks. Both of these capabilities of cloud workflow and IRPA were now combined in 2022, few years ago, to give the new solution called SAP Build Process Automation. So in simple word, I can say SAP Build Process Automation is a combination of SAP BTP Cloud Workflow and SAP IRPA capabilities, which was a desktop-based application studio. Both of these capabilities fully compliant with cloud now in the BTP environment. Having said that, let's start the quick introduction of SAP Build in general. So SAP Build is a suite of product available in the cloud in the BTP platform, where you get mainly three different capabilities for Fusion team. Fusion team is a team of consultants and developers which are very good in coding like pro developers, then intermediate developers which are like just developers, and then people who have very little coding experience. We call them citizen developers. So the idea here is to increase the productivity and let everybody in the company contribute, and that's where SAP Build Portfolio was introduced. SAP Build Portfolio comes with three major tools. The first is called SAP Build Code and SAP Build Apps. SAP Build Apps is a low code, no code development tool to create applications and extensions. At the same time, somebody who is a pro code developer, they have SAP Build Code as well. I have a separate training on SAP Build Apps and SAP Build Code. You can join that training at later point of time. if you are interested to learn so. The current module talks about this middle module called SAP Build Process Automation, where we have workflow and automation capability, basically to automate business processes in your organization. For example, a new employee joins the company. Now, what the HR department does, they will do an induction program. What the IT department does, they issue the equipment like laptop, mouse, and bag. What finance department does, they will collect all the required finance document, do the diligence, and then issues the salary every month. What the development department does is to monitor the progress of the employee and assign the day-to-day task. So this is a very cumbersome process. And to handle thousands of employee joining across different geographical location in a company, you need a seamless business process to handle that. But if you want to automate this whole process, you can use SAP Build Process Automation. There are a lot many more use cases which you will explore in the journey of this training. Finally, we have digital workspaces where all of these applications and automations comes and combine together on a central launchpad. That's called Build Work Zone. So imagine you are an employee. You need to apply leaves because you will go for holiday. You need to fill your timesheet because you want your salary on time. You want to order new equipments because your latest new project demands that. So keeping all these things in mind, you need a central workspace where you can do these activities. And that's what exactly Build Work Zone is. It was earlier called as Central Fury Launchpad in the cloud. Then the rebranding happened and become the Build Work Zone. In this training, we will also be covering SAP Build Work Zone end to end. Now, apart from the development, we also have the AI capability, which is helping us to optimize the application development and process development. So SAP have brought this new tool called SAP Joule, which is now getting integrated with Build Apps, Build Automation, and Build Work Zone to bring down lot of developers effort as well with the help of prompts. For example, you give a prompt to SAP Joule, design me a leave request business process. The SAP Joule is automatically going to do that for you. The outcome will reduce down your effort by 60 to 70 to up to 90%, and then you can tweak the scenario according to the need. Finally, SAP also offer 450 plus pre-built content from SAP and from SAP partners for different lines of businesses and industries. You can download this content. Some content is free and some is paid content. You can download it, tweak it, and quickly orchestrate and build your business process, which is a clear time saving for companies. Finally, you have deep integration with business applications like finance, HR, ERP, cloud ERPs, supply chain, and customer experiences. You can integrate cloud as well as on-premise solutions with SAP Build portfolio. We will be learning all these capabilities of consuming APIs, creating service keys, consuming service applications through service keys, building it Fury applications, cloud to cloud and cloud to on-premise integrations, calling BAPIs, calling services, creating destinations, different kinds of destinations, and many more things in this journey. Having said that, let's look at specifically build process automation capability. It comes with 430 plus pre-built process and automation content delivered by SAP out of the box and growing as we speak. Apart from that, you can design and develop your process automations seamlessly in a SAP Build Process Automation cockpit, or we call it as Process Studio, where it's fully drag drop with almost negligible coding that anybody can learn and do it. So we have ability to define processes and workflows, define forms where we can accept user inputs, create task automations to integrate desktop agent and robotic process automation to bring down manual effort, unified launchpad and task center which you can use the build work zone capabilities, process visibility and flexibility, where you can give beautiful dashboards for process owners to monitor, business rules and decision, where you can determine the process agents, like whether it requires one level, two level, or multi level approval for a request, determining the workflow agents at runtime, and integrating with pre-built content. And of course, document understanding, where you can extract the data through automations as well. It very well integrates with SAP Build apps, Build work zone, Build code, and also with integration suite. So that's the overall portfolio of or capability of process automation. So without wasting further time in the theoretical aspect, I'm sure you are excited to get started with this journey of demonstration in the live system. So what we plan today? We plan today to design a simple business process in SAP BTP using build process automation for an employee to request a leave request, and then a manager should approve or reject it, and finally I should be receiving an email whether my leave request was approved or rejected. So think about this business process like a flow chart. So once you understood the requirement, probably you can think of a flow chart where there is a start of the process, and once the process starts, there is somebody who is going to request a leave, probably an employee. An employee fills a simple form for approval. Yes, so employee fills a detail about employee ID, how many days of holiday they request, and what is the request reason. That's probably the bare minimum thing, and the start date of the holiday. And then this will send a request to the manager for review. So this is called approval form. So the first form is a normal form which an employee will submit. It will then send an approval form with two buttons, approve and reject, on top. As a result, if a employee approves it or rejects it, that will trigger a email to the corresponding employee informing them whether their leave request has been approved or rejected. So this is how we can think of this real-time requirement. And to be able to fulfill this, now I'm going to go and design a build process. In today's session, we will look at building this process, but from the next class, I will show you introduction of BTP and how do we subscribe to SAP Build Process Automation Service to be able to do this yourself. Today is just a demo, so we are directly going into the system and doing it. We will not be demonstrating how did I reach to that screen. So here is my SAP Build BTP account where I've already subscribed to SAP Build Process Automation Service. In the next class tomorrow, I will show you how can you do that also. So I go to SAP Build Process Automation there. It is just loading up, and there I will first get something called a lobby. So when you enter into a building, you will first see the lobby where you see a security guard, or probably the number of apartments in that building, how many stories are there, yes, which apartment who's living. So that's exactly your landing page. From this landing page you can start developing your process, and you can start monitoring them as well as configure your environment. You can also explore the pre-built processes delivered by SAP. You can configure automation SDKs, you can configure events, and also define actions to trigger a call to an external API. But we start from lobby to now create a new process. When we click on create, as you can see, the three components which I was telling you, the build code, the build process, and the build work zone pops up at front of you. So of course, our focus is in this training, build process automation. We're going to pick it up and define a new business process and create a project. So let's create this project as Anubhav Demo BPA. So Anubhav Demo on SAP Build Process Automation. Click on Create. A project can include multiple processes inside. So it encapsulates lot of different types of artifacts like automations, decisions, documents, forms, approval forms, and business processes, including visibility scenarios. We will be learning all of it in our coming episodes. But today, I will get started with something called a process. So the very first thing I need to provide is the name of the process. So it's a leave request process which I want to create. The good news is I will be able to export these processes and share with you. So when you guys are doing it, you can directly import my processes in your environment. You can directly run my processes which I'm building into your environment, your BTP environment. By that way, you will have all the content which we will build available even in your system as well. So let's describe. It's a simple leave request process. Perfect. Click on create. Now you will see a process authoring tool. This is a fully drag drop tool which allows you and me to design the process like an end user. It doesn't require too much of coding skill. That's why it's called low code, no code development portfolio. The first thing what I will do is to define a process trigger, how the process is going to start. So as I mentioned, it all starts from an employee requesting a leave. So I will come back and click on add a trigger and create a form. I will start with the blank form where employee fills the detail to provide all the necessary detail which the employee would need to trigger a leave request to the manager. I will double click now. It will open a form editor which I can use to design a beautiful form fully drag and drop. Wow. So I will add a heading. I can say Anubhav Trainings leave request process, welcome page, and then I will add a small field. Yes, superb. I will also add probably a small paragraph and drag and drop it up, and I can say, please fill all the required details to apply your leaves. Leaves are subjected to manager's approval. Once approved or rejected, you will be notified by email. Wow. And now I will ask employee ID of the employee who applies the leave. I can decide whether an employee ID will be how many length and also whether it is the number, letter or a combination. I can always do that. Is it a mandatory property? Yes, certainly. You can see a small tick mark there. After that, we will ask employee to enter the start date of the leave. That is also a mandatory property. Then employee need how many days of leave. So I can probably create a drop down for that because we want to allow maximum 1, 2 and let's say up to 7 days of leave. So I can create a drop down and I can say number of days. And then I can give the direct options like 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, 5, 6 and maximum up to 7 we allow for an employee to take. We do not allow multi-selection on this drop down. However, this is also a required parameter. After that, we will put the next field where employee has to tell the reason of taking the leave as a text area. And finally, employee can trigger the submission. So they enter the ID, start date, number of days, and reason. I will also, on a caution, I will take the employee name. Yes. So what we will do, we will also take the employee name. So if you add a component, you can delete that by mistake. You can also take a employee name. So I drag drop just below the employee ID. Perfect. So that is my simple form I have designed. How easy was that? No coding knowledge is required. Cool. I save the form. That will be my starting point to trigger the business process. It starts all the way from an employee. Once an employee triggers the leave request, it will all go to the manager for approval. And to be able to inculcate that step, we are going to create an approval form now. So I click on add button and I will say approval form, create a new one, manager leave approval form. I can also choose that it is based on my existing form. So system will automatically create all the fields. Beautiful. I click on create button. So it will create now an approval form as a copy of my existing form. That makes it little more easy and convenient for me to modify. So I can double click and now I can start modifying that form. So it has got all the fields, but all the fields are logged. You see, they are read only. So manager can only read this information. Finally, manager can provide a reason of rejection or reason of approval if they are doing so. So I will add a text area and I can just say that reason for rejection or approval. That's editable. I click on save and voila, my approval form is ready in no time. Let's me change approval or leave request from employee. Please provide reason for rejection. Cool. I click on save button and my form is ready. So if you remember the diagram which I built, it starts from an employee, goes to the manager, and finally manager decides to approve or reject. So it goes in one of these branches where we will trigger the email. So I will head over back to my process. You will see whenever we create an approval form, it will end up creating two branches automatically. But you see, there is already a red mark which is telling something is fishy here. Absolutely. So what is the problem? We have forgotten to add the mandatory subject. So what I will say request, leave request for employee. Yeah. So that is what I will say here. So it is just a temporary issue. It's gone now. So I will say leave request for employee and I want to add employee name. So what I can do, I can go to see the available properties. So I have already created a form here which is giving all this data as a output. Yes. So definitely we can use any of these properties which are coming as an output from the form as a input here. We can inject that at runtime. All the data which you have here as an output of your first form becomes part of context. Now, what is context? Context is nothing but it's the memory where all the data of your business process resides. I will teach you the concept of context more in detail in unit number 3 in this journey. So now I'll head over back and in the subject, you can see my start trigger and I have all my context data. So I can put employee name. So leave request for employee. How many days? For these many days. Let's also add the number of days. Yes, perfect. I will just put a description, approval form. This description will be helpful for troubleshooting at the later point of time for leave to manager. That's your step name, step description. Now, who will be receiving this work item? So here we have multiple techniques to determine, like in the future, I will also show you agent determination with an external call or an agent determination through a business rule or decision. But for today, I will just put my own user ID as the agent. Agent is nothing but who will receive the work item, who will receive the request for approval. So I'm putting process started by. So since I will be starting the process, I only will receive this request for approval. Where do I get that? I will get that in a my inbox application in build work zone. I will show you that. So I put that and now my form is complete. So it's a good time to save our process so far. It's a good practice. We will be learning a lot of good and bad practices as well in this journey. Now on approval, we will be triggering a approval email. So let me configure that. So I come back and I will create a mail task, email task. Who will receive the email? I only will receive the email. So I will enter my mail ID, enter, perfect. What will be the subject? Approved. Yes. Leave request for the name of the employee. Perfect. Then I can open the mail body and I can say, hello, the name of the employee, your leave request for this many number of days has been approved. We have the start date, the reason, and thanks. SAP or Anubhav Trainings build team. Perfect. I have the start date and I have the reason of request. Perfect. Everything turns green. If you get issues, you can troubleshoot them in the panel below. So here you can get the errors and warnings. So there are no errors so far, which is good. So now I go back and confirm and add the mail step for rejection. So I open and here we have email step for rejection. Rejection email. Again to my same email ID, subject will be rejected. Leave request for employee name. Open the mail body. Hello. And then we say employee. The leave request for these many days has been rejected with following reason by your manager. And I can provide the rejection region which we will receive from the approval form. Sorry, Anubhav Trainings team. Click on apply. Fantastic. So that is my mail body in both cases. I click on save and now I am happy with my process. As part of our learning material, I will be also delivering this process to you by downloading and exporting it. And I will teach you how to import this process in your environment to directly deploy and run it. So don't worry, you will not get stuck as part of the journey. I will release the process now, which creates a brand new version. So this is a version management capability. Suppose you already built a process which is in the production. So now the new feature, new announcement will be the next release or next patch. So be very careful that we have already inbuilt the release management or the version management capability out there. I click on release button and then it's time to deploy my process. So I can say, show me the released version. So you are in editable version. You can switch to released version here. So like this, I can create multiple versions. It's a fully compatible with version management. I can now deploy this build process into the cloud, which becomes a runtime object. So far you were dealing with the design time object as a author, as a developer. And once you are done, you're happy, you can deploy it in the cloud. That becomes the runtime version. Once it is deployed, it's time to test. So let me open our process again, where I'm going to get a form link, the deployed form link actually. So I go to trigger and you see here the form link. I can copy that, open in a new tab, which I will give it to an employee for start taking the leave. At the same time, I will also launch the application where manager is supposed to receive the work item. So you click on this button here, you see it's called my inbox application. So here I should be receiving a work item, a request from my employee. At the moment, you can see there are no tasks, which means there's no action item pending on my name. Now I go back and trigger a leave request for employee ID I062080. That's my employee ID, Anubhav. And I will put here the start date of my leave. I would be looking for a 3 days of leave and reason is vacation. Click on submit and I will repeat the process again with one more request. So let me go back and put another request I062080 and I can put, let's say, Prakash Kumar requesting a 2 days of leave starting today with the reason as exam preparation. Click on submit. Cool. So two employees have submitted the request. Luckily, it should come to same manager, which is myself. There you go. You can see the first leave request, Anubhav, for 3 days of leave. Now you see data is not coming. Why? Because we forgotten to map the data coming out of my form to go inside the approval form, and that will be done in the editable version. So if there are something missed out, you always have to go back to editable version and then repeat the process of bug fix, then do version management in next version and deploy. So you have to come back, go to inputs, and now you have to map everything. Wow, cool, awesome, great. Yes, absolutely. And then what I will do, click on save. So I just did the bug fix. So you will know the process. So as a developer, now you have to release another version. It contains minor changes. Yes. Or some patches. So this is a bug fix. Click on release again and we have to deploy the new version. Fantastic. So let's switch over back to the released version 1.0.1 and redeploy. Fantastic. So that will be the process for upgrading the runtime version of your process running in the cloud. You see, it's been done now. So we are going to start the process again. I'll open and now I'll get the form link one more time and we'll be requesting for the leave. So let me open two links, one, two, and I will go to the first one. I will enter the employee ID. I will say Anubhav, start date, number of days, and reason, vacation. Submit. I go to the next one, Ravikant, and start date, number of days, and reason, or customer offsite. Click on submit. Fantastic. So when I go back again, I should now be receiving two more work item for Anubhav, where now I've got all the data. Fantastic. Cool. The manager goes and reject Anubhav's plea. Sorry, cannot because of project deadline. Click on reject, whereas manager goes and approves the leave for Ravikant. You see, it's done. For Ravikant, he simply goes and approves it. So what should happen if all the stars are falling in line? Yes, we should be receiving an email notification now from the SAP Build process automation, which tells us whether the leave was rejected and approved. So what I will do now, I will take you to my inbox, my Google inbox, because that's the email ID I've configured and given, where I should show you the available leave request or not. Yes. So let me open my Google inbox and Wahala. You can see I've got an email just now, 0 minutes ago, and leave request for Ravikant was approved for 4 days. Whereas at the same time, if we go back to Anubhav, you can see the rejection region and it was declined by the manager for 3 days. Cool. That is how exactly we develop in just 20 minutes a business process. We configure the business process with the approval step and form step. We approve and reject. We tested the same and we got the email notification. That comes to the end of my demonstration. And now I will head over back to some of the FAQs with regard to this training, which were asked by all of you. So first, Anubhav, do I need to have any prior knowledge on SAP BTP or Cloud Foundry? Answer is no. You don't need to have any knowledge on BTP in prior. I will cover all the foundational concepts related to SAP BTP for you. How much of programming knowledge will be required to learn Build BPA? Very negligible. Still, we recommend you, if you have programming knowledge, any programming language, that is suffice. But very basic skills are required. For 80% of scenarios, you would not need any programming skills. I am an ABAP consultant. Can I learn SAP Build process automation? Yes, and you must, because all the future cloud projects to achieve process automation will not be classic workflows. It will be on SAP Build. So you must learn SAP Build process automation. How much deep knowledge of business application studio is required? No prior experience, no prior knowledge is required on BAS tool. We will cover the setup of BAS tool for you in this training. End to end. It's an end to end training. You are a college fresher, you can also attend. So what about server access? So we will use free SAP BTP trial account for 90 days, SAP giving free trial. We can use that and we can do all the scenarios in this. Along with that, I will also guide you setting up the RPA desktop agent in your computer. This is part of your training. Anubhav, would you cover build apps also in this course? No. Build apps is a separate training altogether. However, build work zone will be covered in the current training. We will be covering the build work zone actually. Yeah, that we will be covering. Cool. So now next thing is, what about, do you also cover cloud connector to connect to S4 HANA system of my company? Certainly yes. We will cover the topics related to cloud connector, how to use cloud connector to connect to your on-premise system. Apart from that, I will show you how to connect to open APIs and cloud application programming CAP applications in BTP. It's also part of the training, including calls to API Hub APIs. How much of this course we spend time on pre-built content? Almost 10 to 20% time. We will be covering two end-to-end big scenarios with pre-built content that includes S4 HANA, destinations, Fiori apps, and integration suite also. Do I need any prior OData service experience? No. We will cover complimentary session on OData also for you. Can I take this course in video mode? Obviously, this course is only available in video mode. There is no live batch and there are no live batch planned in the future at all for this module. We only doing corporate training in the live mode for this course. Do you cover robotic process automation in this course? Answer is yes. The SAP Build workflow and robotic process automations are combined together to make SAP Build process automation. So both of these topics are naturally covered. We will learn Excel, PDF, GUI and Fiori automation in this course. How to join this training, Anubhav? To join this training, you can send us an email on contact@anubhavtrainings.com. That will be the process to join this course. So just have to send us an email on contact@anubhavtrainings.com. That way you can join this course. Having said that, it comes to the end of this amazing demo session. From the bottom of my heart, thank you once again for your love and support you're showing as a community on our YouTube channel and on our website anubhavtrainings.com. With that, once again, thank you, and I will see you in the next class by subscribing to the video mode training on SAP Build Process Automation. See you and goodbye and happy processing.